Hey guys, Kevin with Lifestyle Overland here, coming to you with another vehicle maintenance video. Now, we're going to be changing the spark plugs in this 4.0 Toyota engine. This is the 1GR-FE. It's in our 2014 5th gen 4Runner. You can check your vehicle specs to see if it's the same motor and use these same steps to upgrade your spark plugs. Now, ours is a little bit different. This is a 2014, so it actually has air injection pumps installed on the engine, so we're going to be removing those to gain access to the spark plugs. Everybody from 2013 and before, your job's a little bit easier. You don't have to remove those. So let's get started. Before starting, you want to check your owner's manual and ensure you purchase the correct spark plugs for your application. While there are many other brands and options out there, we are sticking to the tried and true OEM plugs. Once you have your plugs, it's a good practice to check the plug gap to make sure it meets the factory requirements. This specification can be found within your owner's manual as well. Alright guys, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the battery. We are going to be working on some of the electrical here, pulling these ignition coils apart from the wiring harness, and so we want to go ahead and play it safe. Disconnect the battery. Also make sure if you have any jewelry on, now's a good time to take that off, just in case you were to contact between the negative and positive of the battery. You don't want to be wearing that ring for life. Well, not in that way anyhow. Alright, the next thing we want to do is we want to get this air intake out of the way. So using a 10mm socket, we're going to loosen the clamp on the throttle body. And the clamp going to the air box. And then also the bracket. And we're going to pull these two hoses loose. Now we're going to remove these three 12mm nuts on passenger side air injection pump. Now we're going to make sure our wiring harness is disconnected. So just a few differences on my 4Runner that you may not have on yours with the dual battery system. I've actually relocated some of the components, so the hoses are not going to be routed the same way as yours, but the principle is still the same. So we're going to go ahead and take loose the air injection pump hose from two locations just to free it up from the system and allow us to remove it completely. Okay, so that should allow us to pull this off of its bracket. Pull it out of the way. With the air injection pump removed, we now have access to the spark plug coil packs. It's a good practice to label each of the wiring harness clips as you remove them, but in our case, the links make it impossible to cross up the cylinders during the reinstallation, so use your best judgment. If your clips are like ours and are tough to remove due to debris, you may have to use a small screwdriver to help with the removal process. Just take your time, as it's possible to break the clips, especially as they get older and more brittle. Alright, so just a couple of tips before we start removing the actual spark plugs. You're going to want a pretty good extension. This is a 3/8 extension, and it's going to be a 5/8 spark plug socket. Most spark plug sockets come with a retainer on the inside, whether it's a rubber gasket or a magnet. And what that does is it allows you to pull the spark plug out once you've released it from the engine block itself. Another tip is we want to actually tape this to the extension, and the reason for that is if for some reason the spark plug got stuck or the socket got stuck, you've got at least a chance to pull it out without it coming off the end of the extension and maybe staying down there until you come up with an alternative method to get it out.
The plug removal process is fairly straightforward, so let's speed this up to the next step.
Alright, so the next piece to this installation is we want to make sure we put anti-seize on the new spark plugs so that we can actually remove them another 125,000 miles from now.
Installation is simply the reverse of removal here. The Toyota specs call for 13 foot-pounds on the spark plugs and 10 foot-pounds on the ignition coil packs, but always verify torque specs for your own vehicle. Now, with the passenger side complete, let's reinstall the injection pump and hoses. On to the driver's side, which has another air injection pump that will need to be removed for access to the ignition coil packs and plugs. I found it easier to remove the two 10mm bolts from the hardline first, then remove the three 12mm nuts from the pump itself. Ratchet wrenches are a handy addition to any toolkit. You can find a complete list of tools we carry in our rig at all times in the video description. Access on the driver's side is a bit more cramped, and you may find it easier to remove a few brackets and maybe pull a few hoses out of the way to reduce the amount of cursing and bloody knuckles. Now is a good time to put some gloves on, unless you're smarter than me and are already wearing them. It just makes it tough to operate cameras with them on. They say hindsight is 20/20, and it would have probably been safer to remove these coil packs one at a time to reduce the possibility of debris falling into the engine, especially considering how much mud has been caked into ours. It's up to you though. Don't forget to use anti-seize on this side as well. You may find that a couple long extensions will make the reinstallation easier on this side. Once all your plugs and ignition packs are reinstalled, you can replace any brackets you removed for access and then reinstall the injection pump. Now it's time to ensure everything was tightened down properly and reinstall the intake and its hoses.
Alright guys, that wraps up our spark plug replacement in our 2014 Toyota 4Runner. Hope you found this video informative. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching and safe travels.
Lifestyle Overland is supported by viewers like you on patreon.com/lifestyleoverland. If you like what we do, consider joining our community for access to our favorite campsites, exclusive content, and so much more. Even $1 a month goes a long way. Thank you, Lifestyle Overland patrons, for your continued support.